going on? You're watching Panthers Post. Thanks for joining us. Want to shout out all you guys and gals who showed up the last episode. Another banger of an episode in terms of views. We won. People talking about it. We're feeling good. It is a cyber party because of some of us who don't live in the Carolinas, like yours truly, like Edgar Salmingo, who lives all the way in Southern California. We are partying like it's 1999 on X, on TikTok, on Instagram. We're hearing national radio people. We're hearing national TV people eat their own words. Ocho Cinco is going to the Bank of America Stadium with Panther fans up at the 500 level because he's suddenly a Panther fan. He's apologetic. We got guys like Sam Whitworth saying that, hey, everyone's being a little bit too overdramatic about the Panthers being that bad. You got Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football saying, yeah, people are a little bit extreme, saying that the Carolina Panthers are a dog crap franchise and there's absolutely no good players on that team, as if Jadeveon Clowney isn't on the team, as if guys like Xavier Legette aren't on the team, or Robert Hunt, or Damian Lewis. So get out of here with that noise. This Sunday when the Carolina Panthers get a redo, they get a bit of a mulligan. They absolutely botched the home opener against the Los Angeles Chargers. You had Jonathan Stewart. You had Jake Delhomme in the building hitting the drum, and then they laid an egg. A week ago, every single national analyst was destroying the fabric of the Carolina Panthers, ripping on Dan Morgan, ripping on Dave Canal, saying he's the wrong hire, ripping on David Tepper, even though he deserves it at times, ripping on the roster. Like guys who just got here. Like they weren't here in 2020. Robert Hunt just got here, and you're saying he's not talented? You know what I'm talking about? Like the man who pancakes people for a living with one hand? So a week ago, they were getting smashed. This week, the Panthers are now, everyone's favorite team. Andy Dalton, Ginger, Red Rifle, Andy Dimes. You know, the first quarterback in the league to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the same game. No interceptions. Wow, maybe they're not that bad. What does it mean about Bryce? They actually have some talent. Oh, Xavier Legette's pretty good. Deontay Johnson's at least separated. Like, all those things are coming back. Things that we already knew. But now the tables have turned, and it's about the Bengals. Like, just taking a look at YouTube titles right now. These are just some of the titles that I'm seeing on YouTube. You just type in Cincinnati Bengals, Locked On Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals have major issues. Can they fix them? In all caps. Cincinnati Bengals talk. So these aren't these national members, but these are also people who focus on the Bengals specifically, saying Joe Burrow, Bengals searching for answers after loss to Commanders. Shannon Sharp rips the Bengals for trash talk. So going to Bank of America Stadium, they're going to be absolutely desperate to try to, have a get-right game against the Carolina Panthers, which some people might think, that was a bit of a fluky win against the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know about that. I'm going to get into that in just a couple seconds. But so now the pressure is on the Bengals. And so can the Panthers take advantage of that? Once you get competent veteran play, even if it's in the form of Andy Dalton, and I say even because Andy Dalton, because he hasn't been one of the most celebrated quarterbacks since he came into the league. I'm sorry, the fact that he's a ginge, people see him in a certain light because he came in the same draft as Cam Newton, for gosh sakes, and Blaine Gabbert, guys who you look at them and like, oh, quarterbacks. Andy Dalton, ginge, but he can sling it. I have no doubt that Andy Dalton is going to be going in this the same way he went into last game because, again, the guy's been in the league for 13 years. He's been there, done that. He's done his thing. He's on the back 9 of his career right now, so he's playing with an effort energy that only somebody in that point in their life can do. He's not a rookie. He doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He doesn't have to prove the doubters wrong. He's getting paid well, but he's not getting paid first overall draft pick money. And so he's just playing with this reckless abandonment that you kind of need to take the risk. If you look at some of those throws that he made against the Raiders, those are effort throws. Those are not safe throws. He liked it. He threw it. He didn't care what happened. Because, hell, he's 36. It's the last year of his contract. It is what it is. Like, if it's done, it's done. So he's just letting it rip. You never want to live with regrets. That's the one thing in my life. And if you're watching this, you don't want to live with regret. When you're on your deathbed, you don't want to sit there thinking, dang, I wish I did that. Dang, I wish I split those linebackers to hit Xavier Legette for a 25-yard gain. I'm sure he's not thinking that on his deathbed, but he might. So I have no issues with Andy Dalton. I think he's going to come into this like he always does, even keel, and as a veteran presence that everyone is talking about right now. As for the offense, again, without Adam Thielen, and while the security blanket for most quarterbacks is their tight end, it has been Adam Thielen for the last year and a half, so he is out now. So it's next man up. Jalen Coker, literally the next man up into the active roster. He's everybody's favorite. He's a big body guy. He's a physical dude. I can see him making a little bit of a contribution there. Xavier Legette, I think we're only going to see more and more of him. You saw the absolute raw athleticism and speed that he has. He just needs to control his feet on that 2-point conversion. It could have extended the lead even more. That just comes in time. The finesse will come with time. I thought he was great in the return game. So I think Xavier Legette is going to be huge in this. He's going to step up. I have no doubt that he's going to do that. Deontay Johnson, 122 yards and a touchdown in a career game for him with Andy Dalton under center. I think he's also going to continue to eat. And whatever defenses do, and again, this Bengals defense could get got. Like Jalen Daniels with the Washington Commanders just blew them up as a rookie, and now has people thinking, talk about being ripped on national media, have people thinking that, oh my gosh, did the Bears just pull a Panthers and they got the quarterback that's not as good as the guy who they got drafted second overall, Jalen Daniels, to Washington. This offense, while I'm talking about Andy Dalton, it also relies very much on Chuba Hubbard, and Chuba Hubbard relies on this offensive line, which is proving itself to be a top 5 offensive line in this league. Shout out Dan Morgan and company for doing that. But Chuba Hubbard, like, he's in a contract year again. This guy wants to get paid. He wants to get that second contract. He doesn't want to go back to Edmonton making nothing. You know, he wants that big, fat contract. You know how cheap real estate is in Edmonton? Especially in the wintertime? Buy low when it's 40 below. Keep riding Chuba. Have this balanced offense. And this is where I think that this game against the Raiders was not a fluke. And you can continue this and you can sustain this against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, who is arguably worse than the Max Crosby-led Raiders defense. And that is the fact that there was nothing fluky that happened in that game against the Raiders to suggest that it was a fluke and a once-in-a-lifetime type thing. You know, Gardner Minshew didn't fumble the ball twice, and the Panthers got 14 points off fumble recoveries, or a fluky pick six, or, you know, some weird rule change that gave the advantage to the Carolina Panthers. No, it was just solid play calling from Dave Canales, and what you kept hearing from guys like Luke Kuechly and from Andy Dalton and from Dave Canales is any question that the Raiders defense asked of the Panthers offense, they had an answer. And Andy Dalton is competent and confident in his skills and his wide receivers enough to answer those questions by the defense. And he does it, and he executed that. And obviously there were some throws in there that Andy Dalton had that could have turned the game early. There was one pass that was thrown right to the feet of Deontay Johnson. It popped right up in the air. Easily, it could have been intercepted by the Raiders linebackers. That didn't happen. That could have changed the game. I think it was still just 7-0 for the Panthers at that time. So execute, but it seems like the game plan is just going to, it's simple, but you take what the defense gives you and then you execute. As for the defense played absolutely great as well. I could only imagine what it felt like to be a defensive player for the Carolina Panthers. It seems like you've been running with a 100-pound vest on your chest for the last year because you're just absolutely gassed. You have no energy because the offense that has been taking the field the last year and a bit and 2 games just couldn't stay on the field. So you just get out there, talk a little bit with your defensive line coach, and you get back out there, and you're absolutely gassed. You get gashed. You get broken in half by the end of the fourth quarter. But it seems like now that 100-pound vest is off. They took some liquid IV, and they are good to go. They have energy. They're actually rested. They're actually coached up when they're on the field. And so, again, it is a homeopathic situation that is a game of football. So once they make it to the field, sure, I don't think we have the dogs, and I've talked to some people about this via text that I don't know if the Panthers have the dogs, even though the defensive secondary led by Mike Jackson and J.C. Horn played great. I don't know if we have the actual juice to deal with a Cincinnati Bengals offense that is squarely in the crosshairs from people now, analysts and whoever the F. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, those guys are elite. If you're a Panthers fan, you want a T. Higgins to play for the Carolina Panthers in the offseason. You got that cat out of Princeton who makes plays as well. They're going to be going out for blood, but maybe that's a good thing that can play in the hand of the Carolina Panthers defense, that maybe Joe Burrow is going to be pushing it a little bit too much. You can take advantage of that and get some tips and some picks, and maybe he's holding on to the ball too long. They just lost their starting right tackle for the year with a knee injury, and so it's unfortunate we don't have as stacked of a defensive line that we would have. Like Jadeveon Clowney is doing his thing, Jake Peavy doing his thing up the middle, but maybe it's up to a DJ Johnson to make this replacement right tackle pay and get to Joe Burrow. Like, he's sneaky athletic, #white guy, but he may be holding on the ball a little bit longer than normal because he's trying to get the perfect pass up because he's being questioned right now. People are saying that there's way too many excuses being made for Joe Burrow, so the defense got to take advantage of that. On paper, their offense is better than our defense, but it's up to them too in terms of the Bengals executing. Like, they got a lot of pressure on them. Are they going to execute or are they going to choke? Is this the end? Is their window closed? Is it not so great in Bengal land right now? And the Panthers have them in the absolute right spot to go 0-4. Panthers go 500, and then depending on what happens in the NFC South, they can wake up on Monday first in the division. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think the Panthers have a chance to make it back-to-back games? Go to 500, 2-2? What? And then take on the Bears? Andy Dalton revenge game, and then you're going to take on eventually the Cowboys. You're going to take on the Saints again. You got to feel pretty good. If you win on Sunday, I predict the Panthers win 28-27. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about what do you think the score is going to be. See you guys soon. I'll get the recap when it's done.